It's that time of the year, guys. You know the time where it makes absolutely no sense. All the advertisers are clamoring for us to spend our money to keep this consumeristic world going. But then at the same time, we're supposed to sit back for one day, sit down, practice gratitude, give thanks for our blessings, and then start it all over the next day. What's up, guys? I am Nefertari, and I am back, continuing our series called Lost Virtues, helping you build great godly character. All of the virtues here are character traits of God and or were demonstrated by Jesus while he was here on this earth. So this is our 9th virtue of gratitude, but more so thanksgiving because they are related, but they are slightly different. Remember to like and subscribe and leave a review and or a comment because it does help promote the show. And also if the Lord leads you and you want to support the ministry, there is a link in the description. So if this is your first time to this series or you need a refresher, we are trying to build godly character. This makes us more like Jesus Christ. So we should just end up being more of a joy to be around. So remember that our flesh defaults to sin and that people have to actually practice doing good, training in righteousness, even though society is blatantly in denial about that, thinking that people are inherently good, yet we see a lot of bad. Nevertheless, so I start all of these by presenting you with the virtue. This is in the middle. This is what we are striving for. This is our focus. And then the vices or the sins live on the side. So the virtue is the behavior or the attitude, the action that we are desiring. One side is if you lack the virtue. The other side is if you take this virtue too far, which also is a sin as well. So today's, as I said, is gratitude / thanksgiving. If you don't have gratitude, then you fall into the sin of ingratitude. Over here, though, I'm also going to talk about envy, covetousness, and a few other things because it's rarely seen alone and it gives birth to a lot of other things. Then if you take gratitude too far, we go into something that a lot of people don't really think about, but you're gonna understand it the second I get there. It is subtle, it is manipulative, it's adulation and flattery. So as always, because I want to keep these very relevant to today, I start with the culture first because I want to show you night and day how what the culture is selling us is actually the opposite of what the Bible tells us. There can and will be similarities, but it's never going to reach the biblical standard that a Christian is supposed to live towards. Quick outline, we're going to do culture, vice, virtue, extreme, and then we're going to round it out with practical application. So you have a challenge to take forward with you. All right, the culture. So when I talk about the culture, what I'm really referring to is a culture that doesn't believe in God. And in the culture, you'll hear people say, gratitude is the right attitude. Get a gratitude journal. I have seen in comment sections and in blogs a very perceptive question when people tell people to start practicing gratitude, not a Christian. People have asked, who or what am I giving gratitude to? Now, to this, someone might answer, well, your friends, your family, coworkers, bosses. So it's going to be people in general. And then, of course, definitely thanking yourself for, being you. You definitely need self-gratitude, right? And then if you believe in some kind of higher power, it'll be Mother Nature, the universe, the source, one's made-up God, if you believe in him or her, depending on one's belief system. And then after that, there'll be this article that will go on to tell you all of the physiological things going on in your brain and in your hippocampus and how it lights up and why it's so good for you and when you're practicing gratitude. Because we all know, guys, that when we go to do things, we always stop to ask, what are the scientific benefits of what we're doing? That's how we justify all things. How is this scientifically proven to benefit my life? Of course, that's what we do, right? Sure. So people who genuinely want to practice gratitude but don't believe in God, I've seen these people in comment sections, they're asking who are they thanking when their heat is working or when they have their paycheck this week? Because these are the little things people will say, oh yeah, you should, those are things for gratitude. Well, at this point in time is what happens. People will just start thanking themselves for going to work. Be like, oh yeah, good job, Neff. Another day in the bag. Go you. And I did see this in a lot of articles while I was researching this. There's a lot of self-appreciation, self-recognition, self gratitude. And this is quite normal. When there is no God, human beings become the highest order of things. So the problem with that mindset is that rarely do people take ownership of things when things are bad. They just say when something's good, it's them. So this is what we're seeing out in the nation right now. We're seeing this result of a nation that has been blessed deeply, but now we're suffering very, very bad from a case of ingratitude. This is where people are getting this idea of the equality of outcomes with socialism and communism. They think that things are unfair because of what they don't have, and then they're incapable of focusing on the things that they do have. And this is seen in 2 Timothy when it talks about the latter days. It says, for men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, without love of good, traitorous, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. Long list of things that we'll be seeing, and we are seeing them. So gratitude when there is no God is very fascinating. Ask yourselves, do you think a non-believer can be thankful for the suffering that comes into their life when they don't believe in God? In the world, gratitude is for the good that takes place to you, not the bad. In the Bible, though, it tells us to rejoice in all things. It says, giving thanks always for all the things to God the Father in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ in Ephesians. That is very, very hard to do for anybody, but especially for people who don't have the Holy Spirit. So we are focused on the fact that there is a God, and he tells us how to have relationships with him and with other people. So we do have a direction for our thanksgiving and our gratitude, but also for our ingratitude, because ingratitude rarely stays with us. It starts to emanate out into others. So that brings us to the sin of ingratitude. As a Christian, let's just call it what it is. It is a sin. It's not just a bad attitude. It is ultimately a rejection of God as our great giver and creator. It means we are not grateful for all of the gifts that God has given us. So it says in 1 Corinthians 4:7, Paul's talking to the Corinthians. He says, for who makes you differ from another? And what do you have that you did not receive? Now, if you did indeed receive it, why do you boast as if you had not received it? You see, absolutely everything that we have is a gift from God. Our waking lives, our beating hearts, our friendships, our ability to taste good food, and on and on and on. Everything is a gift. And so when somebody is ungrateful, what they're saying in their hearts is that God is not benevolent. He's not a good giver. And it goes against what James said in the Bible. Do not be deceived, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow of turning. God is the ultimate gift giver, and he knows what we need more than ourselves. Now, ingratitude very rarely sits by itself. It lives with a few other nasty beasts, and two of them are envy and covetousness. So I do believe that one of the greatest roots of ingratitude is envy, and relevant to today, social media has caused ingratitude to skyrocket because we get to see things that we probably never would have come in contact with in our lives. So we know when we're watching social media that many people are performing, but we're still getting jealous of them. We know it's an act. We know that so many people online are putting on a show, a facade, and we're still getting jealous inside. So this envy and this ingratitude is causing us to be discontented. And I did cover this in 2 episodes. If you need to go back and go a little bit deeper, I did cover contentment and also the envy and kindness episode. But still, for us, for just ingratitude, it's really stemming from this comparison game. Americans, truthfully, we have no right to be ungrateful, even anybody in the Western world. We are such a blessed nation, and the average American, believe it or not, and just believe it, we are kings and queens compared to the people of biblical times. If you have AC, you're doing better than every single person in the Bible, even Solomon. Like, how could he manufacture air like that? Doesn't matter how rich he was. The technology just wasn't there. So the things that are at our fingertips, we just have no right to be so ungrateful. But what's happening is we're not comparing ourselves to ancient times. We're not even comparing ourselves to third world countries. What we're doing is we're looking around at everybody else. And we're like, am I doing better than my friends? I know that those are the people that I follow online, and like, I'll never be like them and I'll never have the stuff that they have. We're looking around right now around Thanksgiving and looking at all these Black Friday sales, and you're like, man, how can I max my credit card out enough? Is there enough room to do this? And this is causing a lot of bitterness, a lot of resentment, a lot of anger inside of people. This is what it causes, an attitude problem. And these people who can't get out of this ingratitude, this ungratefulness, develop this bad attitude and makes them not very much a joy to be around, which is quite crazy because we're supposed to be coming into a joyful season. And a lot of people are very bitter. You'll start looking at them outside while you're shopping and you're like, man, where'd all these angry people come from? Maybe it's in the heart. So some other issues that come with this attitude problem is that some people, when they don't know how to deal with their envy or their ungratefulness, they'll look at another person and they'll actually be happy to see another person's downfall. And this comes from a scarcity mindset. But from a biblical perspective, it's like looking at God and saying that, like, he doesn't have enough blessings to go around or something. When, of course, he has more than enough to give every single person on planet Earth. But these are attitude issues. And one of the biggest problems with this is that when everything is going great in a person's life, usually they're all happy. And when a person is not having great times in their life, and more people are not, more and more people are depressed right now, they'll bring this attitude with them. You'll invite some people like this to a party and they'll be sour. To deal with this in the culture, instead of giving people personal responsibility, we're telling people to just cut other people out of their lives because they're like, man, well, why should I have this friend in my life? They're a Debbie Downer and stuff. Now, some people are aware of this. And I know I've seen it on Reddit. People are like, I'm envious. I'm jealous. I don't know how to get rid of this problem. It stems ultimately from pride, right? So the reason anybody envies is because we're proud. We think that we deserve more. That all of this comes from pride. That in our ungratefulness means we just think higher of ourselves. However way we think, for what we have failed to do is analyze who we are in relation to our Creator God. That's the pride problem. This attitude needs to be taken to the throne of God. It needs to be confessed as a sin. Because it is God who gives us a new nature. He's the one who is capable of helping us with sanctification through these changes. But if you're feeling really down on yourself, as I said, do not focus on the sins. We're going to deal with it right now. So the way to fight a sin is by practicing the virtue or the command that Jesus gave us. We have an active choice. We can choose to be unthankful. We can choose to be thankful. So gratitude is more of an inner feeling of thanks or appreciation, while thanksgiving is that outward display of that gratitude. So it's gratitude in action. Now, the word thanksgiving, I would only really use in relation to God, but giving thanks or being thankful can apply to other people. So, as I said, ingratitude stems from pride. So then the real virtue that gratitude and thanksgiving stems from is humility. A humble heart is a grateful heart and a thankful heart. So humility will completely reshape your perspective on who one is in relationship to other people and who we are in relationship to God. And then you don't have to sit there and say that that person has more than me or not, or I don't have enough, or God hasn't given me. You understand who we are loved by God, created by God. It's that humility that needs to be there. And as I said, these traits were shown by God or by Jesus when he was here. And Jesus shows humility all the time. He said that he came to serve, not to be served. That's a humble servant. But one of my favorite miracles in the Bible is found in Matthew 14. It's the feeding of the 5,000. And right, we know the story that there's 5,000 people, they don't have any food, and Jesus says to them to bring them what they have. So this is what it says. It goes, "We have here only 5 loaves and 2 fish. Jesus says, 'Bring them here to me.' Then he commanded the multitudes to sit down on the grass, and he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to his disciples. The disciples gave to the multitudes, so they all ate and were filled." I love the fact that it says that Jesus looks up to heaven, he blessed the food, and he broke it. So he gave thanks for the little that they had, the 5 loaves and 2 fish. And look at what happened when it's in the hands of Jesus, it multiplies. I'm not saying that everybody's supposed to be thankful for stuff with the idea that God's just going to multiply it. No. But with God, all things are possible. He's in control. He is the multiplier. He is the miracle maker. He is the giver. He is the creator. So just take what you have and be thankful for it. God will do what he wants with what he has given you. So our thankfulness should not be conditional. It should not be based on how little or how much we have. God wants us to be thankful regardless of what we are going through as well. So it's not just the good times, it's also the bad times. And one might say, well, that's easier said than done. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But I think the verse that we need to not just know, but we need to internalize is Romans 8:28. Internalizing, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. It's a great way of knowing that we may not understand why we're suffering. We don't understand why we're going through the trials that we're going through, but our reaction should not look like the world's reactions to things. So when they're going through bad, you see it on most people's faces. When trouble comes, they start complaining. But it is divine to be thankful. That means our eyes are on our great God and what he is doing in our lives. In the Old Testament, we see this with the Israelites. They are in the wilderness and they are murmuring and they are complaining nonstop. And God is quite sick of hearing their murmuring, but he still meets their needs every single time. So they're hungry, he gives them manna. And then I mean, personally, I would love to know what manna is. I hope that I get to see it in heaven. I think it would be every fitness person's dream, but they're not happy with the manna anymore. Then they want meat. So then God gives them quail. And then they're like, oh man, we were better off in Egypt. We had better food there. And like, that just is where God is meeting people's needs, but he doesn't need to hear all of the complaining all of the time. That means you just don't accept the gifts that he's giving. And that comes from inside of the heart. So God is meeting those needs, and God meets all of our needs. And many times we just miss these blessings because we're focused on the bad. But we need to have that change of heart, because when we change our hearts, when we start thanking God, it actually is a form of worship. And you see, when you do the action itself, when you start giving thanks to God, that's where you get this change of heart. That's where you'll get this change of your mood. This is where you'll become a more joyful person, because you're actually worshiping God when you're giving thanks. And from this, you can start being charitable to other people. You see, when you love God, then God pours into you so that you can love other people, and you get this overflow of a blessing, so that the Thanksgiving doesn't have to stop with you now. So a blessing doesn't just necessarily have to be money. So you can be blessed with your attitude, and your attitude can end up being a blessing to other people. So if other people see that you're joyful, you can take that joy and you can push it out into the world when you're going on with your life. Your thankfulness, right, it goes out and it radiates into other people. So don't just let it stop with you. That's why thankfulness is an action. It goes out to other people. Gratitude is just an inner sense of feeling. Thanksgiving, it goes outwards. It's active. So this is where you'll see when you're with other people. Thankful people are a joy to be around. Their thank yous are sincere. And when a person gets their thank you, they actually feel the appreciation of that person's gratitude. Which brings me to the extreme of adulation and flattery. You can't take gratitude too far with God. I don't really see how that's possible, but you can with people, and it has to do with the motives of our hearts. So I want to make mention of this here because it's pretty bad, and it's manipulative, and it's only getting worse, and it's going to because of AI. So if you use ChatGPT or you use any kind of chatbot, you will realize that chatbots flatter people. So it pumps out things like, you are amazing kind of language, like thank you for being you. And people don't understand that our language is influenced by the things that we read and we watch. So let's say you're with a person and you think that, oh, well, you just say thank you to somebody. That means you're showing gratitude. If you're sincere, absolutely. But what we're having is people who are like fawning over people with their language. They're not really grateful, but they're giving the words of gratitude, but in their heart, it's not, and you can kind of see it. So I'm not trying to like teach you how to be manipulative. This is actually being seen by a lot of people. To stay out of this realm comes from being an honest person, just truthfully being grateful to a person, giving them a sincere thank you for something that they have done. You don't have to gush all over them. You don't need to like try and elicit a certain kind of response from people. So this is where, I've worked with people like this. They're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, you're so amazing. Thank you. Like that's just not necessary. So if you're saying thank you beyond like a genuine expression of appreciation, you're going too far. It's not sincere. You want something from the person, whatever it is, you want it. In this same arena, I want to also tell people, don't negate something that somebody else has done for you out of the goodness of their heart by telling yourself, well, I'm going to do something in return. So these are all heart issues. They may not be blatantly seen by the people on the outside there, but they're in the heart. So if you're like the type of person that is expecting others to do something back for you in the future, then no, just don't even bother doing something for them. This is done because people are trying to be recognized by that specific person, by a group of people, or they want to gain influence, and there's a motive there. And this is what the world has called virtue signaling. You're putting it out there to the world that you're trying to be this great person, but you're not really, because it doesn't come from a pure heart. And that's why I'm saying this is a very tricky kind of area to be in, because it's literally motive driven, and no one can be 100% certain of what your motives are until, as we would say it, the fruit comes out later. But what if you're scared that you're in this arena? Well, there are some verses to stay out of this area that I pulled. So what you're probably looking for if you're in this arena is approval. The virtue signaling that we're talking about is a form of self-righteousness. And so we're trying to look pious or look really good to the world. And that's the people pleasing. So in Galatians 1:10, it says, "For do I now persuade men or God? Or do I seek to please men? For if I still pleased men, I would not be a bondservant of Christ." So by pleasing God and loving God, the natural overflow will be to love others with our actions. That will be the first commandment: love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And then the second commandment is love your neighbor as yourself. It will just flow from loving God and pleasing God first. Another verse is in Colossians 3:23 and 24. And whatever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not to men, knowing that from the Lord you'll receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ. Don't be looking for praise and thanks and adulation from other people. Even if you do something good and they don't see the good that you do or appreciate the good that you do, God sees it, and know that we serve God. You served God with your actions. So it's okay if you don't get the appreciation or the gratitude that you thought you deserved. God saw it. So I hope that section wasn't too confusing. It's really because of the manipulative nature of that. Just try and keep a pure heart, just trying to just please God and then be thankful to Him and then, to others, and you should stay out of that realm. So, how can we go into this beautiful season and even into our everyday lives with a heart of thankfulness? So, I just have 3 notes for some practical application for us. And so, one is I think gratitude journals can be very helpful. I do. So, practicing gratitude, and sometimes I'll have write down 3 things every single day. Well, when I started this, I did find it hard. So I have a tip to help retrain your mind and make this easier. See, I would say every time you think of something negative or you're like, oh, I've actually been suffering this way. Okay, take that negative and let's try and find the positive in it. So I think this is an easier way of doing this, and training yourself is because it's easier than coming in from a blank slate, especially if you haven't practiced gratitude before. Humans unconsciously have a negativity bias. So when presented with the negative, open your eyes to what the positive is there. So just to give you some examples, right? Let's say you were in a car accident. Everybody would say, well, that's totally negative. Okay, well, was it just your car that was ruined and you and your body is perfectly fine? Well, I would say that that's a blessing. Let's say you didn't get that promotion. Maybe you wanted it, but you didn't necessarily need it. Your current job pays all of your bills. Instead of looking at it and saying, oh, I didn't get that promotion, well, maybe there's a better opportunity and it will be available to you in your near future, but you don't know that. So don't focus on the negative. Be like, well, you know what? I'm glad that that person got it. Maybe they needed it, and maybe they need it for their family or whatnot. Focus, turn it around into a positive. You're jealous of the guy that gets all of the girls. I tell people, well, you only need one person, right? You only need one man or one woman to love you. You don't need the whole wide world to. So that's not even a reason to be envious. Just change your mindset around the opposite sex. Be like, God wants one man with one woman. No reason to be jealous. And so you can just do this with a variety of things, and you will find, oh, wow, there's more and more things that I can be thankful for as I go along. And as you get better at it, you'll start realizing you wake up in the morning, oh, thank the Lord that the sun is shining, that the birds are singing, that right. But it will grow into that kind of thankfulness. So my second option here is, I know that next year I'm going to get a blessings jar for my desk because it's very easy to forget all of the good things that God has done for you. And it's in the Bible. So he tells the Israelites to set up these altars. And what they are is they're visual monuments of God's faithfulness. And now if you have you write down praise reports as opposed to always having prayer request, what you'll realize is that God answers so many prayers throughout the year, and you'll be like, wow, I actually had a really blessed year. So that I think is a great option as well. And then last is Thanksgiving as a component of prayer. So Thanksgiving should be in your prayer life anyway. But another component of prayer is adoration. I think if you wrap them both up, adoring and thanking God is this great form of worship to God in our prayer lives. And what it does is it really sets up the heart with this great humble posture and also a spirit of joy of just being in the presence of our Lord. So my challenge to you guys is this. I found a Psalms. Now, there's many Psalms that you can read on Thanksgiving, but I was reading Psalms 136, And there's a lot of repetition in there. And I was reading it to myself in my head while I was praying, but then I decided to say it out loud to God, and my heart just started to swell up. It's, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever. Oh, give thanks to the God of gods, for his mercy endures forever. Oh, give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his mercy endures forever." And it goes on, and it was such a beautiful prayer. And I think that if you say it to the Lord, you could actually watch yourself feel an enormous amount of gratitude for our King. And if that's how you start your day, I mean, you'll be singing, you won't even be able to wipe the smile off of your own face. Your coffee will taste better. Traffic won't seem that terrible. Sold out items in the store won't seem that disappointing. It'll just change your life for the better, and knowing who our great and glorious King is. I hope that was helpful, guys. Let me know about your thoughts in the comments, and if there's anything that you would like me to go deeper on. Next week, don't miss out, we are going to talk about the lost virtue of generosity and its nemesis, greed. So thank you, guys, and happy Thanksgiving. Peace out.